We're supposed to learn how to be from our moms on the female side, what to expect out of men from the father side. And if we don't have those things around, then you don't have any expectations. And if you don't have any expectations, what happens? Well, if you're a guy and you don't have one around, well, then you don't have any expectations for yourself. What are you supposed to do to be a man? I don't know. Hell if I know. Let's go online. Let's watch Andrew Tate. We can learn that way. And then you get what you get. But then we're surprised by that. We're like, but how, geez, how come things have become what they've become? Oh, I don't know. Maybe if we just look at the society, we can see it develop. Well, we have to pay attention to what we're paying attention to. We have to pay attention to what we take seriously and it tells us something about ourselves. It's just like the idea of why we would not want to share our opinions. Because what if I'm wrong? Well, so what if you're wrong? Well, that's embarrassing if I'm wrong. Why? Well, first off, you won't be wrong, but even if you are, so what if you're wrong? Who cares? Why does that matter? Like, any of you guys babysit little kids? Like little nieces, nephews, brothers, little toddlers? Yeah, they'll do silly stuff, man. And they'll laugh they'll bang their head into a wall and they'll be like laughing while they're doing it, when they just got done doing it. And then if you go, oh my God, you're so silly. They may even go over there and bang it again just to be funny. What happens between being a toddler when we're not really afraid of being wrong or being silly or doing then all of a sudden when we get to be older, we're terrified of it. All right. All right, so there's a lot there. So that original point's taken. So maybe there's you and then parents. And then when you're a little kid, that's your whole world. It's just your parent. Like your parents, when you're a little kid, your parents, they're the center of your explored world. Pretty much anywhere you go is with them. If you ever see a little kid who goes, if you go to the beach, for example, and you see however old that is, little kids, the parents will be standing nearby and they might start to walk out into the ocean. Now, some parents come running over and grab them before you even get close to the water and they freak out and they pull you back. They're teaching you something, by the way, with that. But then sometimes there are parents who will let you, toddlers for some reason walk like little baby gorillas. They start walking out like this. And then they'll get to the water's edge and then they'll look back to see where the parents are. And the parents, of course, are 200 yards away, right? In actuality, it's 6 feet, but for the little kid, it feels like the parents are really far away. But why are they looking over their shoulder? They want to make sure that their frame of reference, that the center of their explored world is nearby. There's safety. There's some danger because you're not right next to them, but there's safety because they're somehow within view. And so that's the whole world for you right there. And then they'll approach the water and they keep looking at that. Now, of course, there are some kids that will just take off for the water, 2 years old, not even look back to see where their parents are. That's a different personality type. Now, as soon as you start to get older, your mind starts to develop. It's almost unfair, even comical, if you think about it, that when we're born, our brains are not even close to being done yet, developmentally. The structure is there, but our ability to think about a lot of things, like, for example, it's an unfair question to ask you guys, for example, so where do you see yourself in 10 years? What's your 10-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? Because your brains aren't developed to the point yet where you can truly conceptualize what 10 years in the future looks like. And if you think about it, you guys are most 15 or so, yes? So that's the whole of your conscious life, 10 years. So if I ask you, tell me where you're going to be twice your current age, where are you going to be in the future? You can make stuff up and just say, I don't know, I'm going to own a business or whatever, but it isn't something that you're actually able to conceptualize. And so we have a whole bunch of, and yet we'll put you in school and I'll tell you the stuff that you're learning right now, guys, will set you up for success or failure in life, which is a weird thing because you don't really have the ability to conceptualize the rest of your life, but you're being told that whatever you do right now is going to set you up for the rest of your life. Both things are true, by the way, but it's a weird cosmic joke because we don't have the ability to think about the future, but we have to get ready for it right now. So anyway, so you've got this ability as you get older now to start to consider not just the opinions of your parents, because we care about the opinions of our parents largely because they feed us. That's your safety net. They feed you, they give you clothing. That's your level of safety right there. That's why a little kid, like a toddler or whatever, they're capable of being affectionate and they're cute, but they're not capable of loving you. To be able to be capable of love is a very deep concept that takes a good amount of development. So a little kid who's like, like a toddler, they're like, I love you. And I go, oh, I give them a hug. They're saying what they think they mean. They learned a word from us, love, but they're not capable of loving you. They're just capable of showing affection. And that's enough for a lot of people, because love is not a, properly speaking, love is not an emotion. Love is an action. Love is something that you do for people. It's not just what you feel for someone. Thank goodness for that. So as you get older, you now have the ability to conceptualize your parents. You realize it's not just shelter and safety, but it's also now a sentiment and emotion. But now other things start to play into it. Like you've got, the neighbor, friend, whatever. So now your ability to conceptualize the opinions of others now comes into it. This one hopefully should be, although not always, pretty well established. Mom, dad, whoever, parents, family, whoever, love me, no matter what you do. But now these aren't so sure. Even friends necessarily aren't always certain. And so these are the ones that start to mess with us, because if we need a job and our parents have a company, dope, we're taken care of. But those opinions are squared. But it's the opinions of everybody else around us that help us to live a more fulfilling life. Having a nice family life, that can be fulfilling, of course, but to be able to have a more fulfilling life depends on other people around us. Having a nice group of peers, having hobbies that you can participate in with people around you, getting jobs, like having like work friendships and things like that. So it becomes really broad. So all of a sudden, those things do start to matter. And I just say this as a point of clarification because, again, there's this knee-jerk from us when I ask that question, should it matter what people think about us? We go, no. Then how would you learn anything? And that's how you learn. How do you know you're not supposed to just belch in the middle of class? Well, because if you do it when you're in elementary school, people look at you like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you not supposed to just rip a fart out in the middle of class? Because people will look at you like, dude, what the hell? And they won't want to be around you because now you're the weird kid. There are people who I'll say it, why not? There are some people who just smell. They stink. And how do they know that they're supposed to, how do they know they should be bathing more? Because somebody will look at them and go, you smell. And then we all laugh, and then there's always that one person who's like, oh, but stop being so mean. Being mean, the guy's assaulting our noses, dude. He's not showering, he's not bathing. Maybe he doesn't know. No one's told him yet. So those opinions of others, they do shelters, especially if you've got that parent who's like, no matter what, I love you and you're perfect just the way you are. Yeah. And I guess it's kind of nice, even if we know it's a lie. Because we all know that we're not perfect just the way that we are. We all know that there are areas of improvement. Maybe you don't want to have parents around you who are always telling you you're not good enough. But it's almost as damaging is to have a parent around you who's always telling you, you're perfect just the way you are. You're right just the way you are. Yeah. How do I say this nicely? Yeah, why not? Screw it. What good is a philosopher who doesn't offend people, right? One of for girls, one of the strongest predictors of your emotional strength and actually just your general success in life, whether it's professionally, personally, with relationships, is your relationship with their father. It's the number one predictor. And we often will say, well, what if I don't have one around? Well, that's why you need to have some kind of figure in there. Because that's how do you learn how a man's supposed to behave unless you've got one around? And if you're someone who has like a rotating roster of father figures around who are always in and out, depending on the relationships that our moms are in, well, then you don't really learn how a person sticks around. So now all of a sudden, the opinions of other people matter a lot. Why? Maybe I didn't get the love and attention I needed at home. Maybe I didn't get the affection I needed at home. So then where do you get it? Because we all need it. Where do you get it? Strangers. People who come through life. And if not that one, then that one. If not that one, then that one. And so if you don't have strong relationships, you spend your life trying to develop them. That's why this relationship here is so central to our development. Because you learn how you're supposed to be from we're supposed to learn how to be from our moms on the female side, what to expect out of men from the father side. And if we don't have those things around, then you don't have any expectations. And if you don't have any expectations, what happens? Well, if you're a guy and you don't have one around, well, then you don't have any expectations for yourself. What are you supposed to do to be a man? I don't know. Hell if I know. Let's go online. Let's watch Andrew Tate. We can learn that way. And then you get what you get. But then we're surprised by that. We're like, but how, how come things have become what they've become? Oh, I don't know. Maybe if we just look at the society, we can see it develop. And then similarly, with on the women's side. So we're going to seek to find those things naturally. If you can't find them naturally, we find them synthetically. And then the opinions of other people matter a heck of a lot. Maybe even in destructive ways. So we learn how relationships work by our families. I won't go on much longer, but when we finish up with this article, the simulated universe one, we're going to do another one. We'll finish it on Monday. We'll have a quiz on it on Monday. And then the next set of articles that we look at are about childhood trauma. And one of the things that we learn in those articles is you learn from that family bond. And this one doesn't even have to just be like mom and dad. This can be extended family as well, brothers, sisters, whatever. What you learn from those initial bonds is the limits of love. So for example, you get mad at your parents and you're like, I hate you. Maybe they'll smack you, maybe they'll ground you, but ultimately you know that if you come out of your room and you're like, I'm sorry, they'll be hurt, but they'll still accept you, they'll still love you. And if that's the case, what you learned is what those extreme limits of love are. You learn that love can be bent, that love can be jostled, but you also learn that in some cases it can't be broken. On the other side of the coin, if you tell your parents, I hate you, I wish I'd never been born, and they're like, oh, okay, and all of a sudden you find yourself on the porch and they're putting you up for adoption when you're 7 years old. I'm out of the house? Yeah, we don't want you anymore. You're out. God, bye. Well, now you have a very different sense about love, which is it's very fragile. I better not piss people off. I better just, whatever my significant other wants, I better just do it. Because that's how, because if I don't, then they might leave me just like my parents did. Maybe they're going to ignore me like my parents did. Maybe they're going to avoid me like my parents did. If you tell your mom something really important, like that's like specialty, that's like a secret, not a secret, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, why not? Secret. It's something that you want to stay between you guys, something private, and all of a sudden she goes off and she tells like your aunt or your uncle, and then you show up at the next family gathering and they're all making fun of you because of some secret you told your mom that you didn't want anybody else to know. What did you just learn? You can't trust people. You can't confide in people. And you start keeping everything to yourself. And so all of those, this original foundation of a relationship is what forms the basis of all of your relationships after that. So now like a lot of people, in fact, the truth is that it's the majority of people these days. Literally the majority of people these days. You might ask, well, what if I don't have that kind of a strong foundation? Well, then now you're tasked with fixing it. Not that you can fix those relationships, but understanding in yourself why I am the way that I am. Why do I have these kinds of trust issues? Oh, dude, it's because every time I told somebody one of my private things, they went and told everybody else in the family. Some people, you can have a sense of humor because the people in your family will joke a lot and mess around with you a lot. But then there's a fine line between that and being cruel. And now you might kind of conflate being joking with people with cruelty. So now if your friends, especially with guys, if you're a guy and you've got guy friends and you're not like picking on each other, are you even really friends? You're going to be talking shit to each other. You're making fun of each other. Now there's a limit between that and cruelty. And then there will be some people that if you joke about them just a little bit, oh man, they lose it. One of my best friends is like that. She is really good at being snarky and making fun of people and just talking mad shit. But if you say any little thing to her, she completely snaps on it. And she'll hold a grudge for years. She got into an argument with her dad one time, didn't talk to him for 7 years. 7 years, dude. Over an argument. Now, what kind of a message do you think that sends between her and her friends? She cuts people off like that. I don't know why she hasn't cut me off. I offending people is like a walk of my life, but you learn from those foundations. And so that's a long answer to your short question.